Hi there and welcome to this day in history for October 30th. October 30th is the 303rd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 62 days remaining until the end of the year. And today we're going to start back in the year 1451 when Christopher Columbus, the Italian explorer and navigator who discovered the New World for Spain and initiated European colonization, was born in the Republic of Genoa on or around this date. They kept records differently back then, but around this time. So this is the date that we're going to give him credit for being born. He had lots of adventures and died in 1506 at about 54 years of age. So I've already outlived Columbus. In 1632, Christopher Wren, the English anatomist, astronomer, geometer, physicist, mathematician, and architect, was born in Wiltshire, England on this date in 1632. He is perhaps best known for having designed St. Paul's Cathedral, but he was also instrumental in rebuilding over 50 churches after the Great Fire of London. He died in 1723 at the age of 90. 1735, American lawyer and politician and second President of the United States, John Adams, was born in Braintree, Massachusetts on October 30th, 1735. The son of a farmer and a descendant of the Plymouth Rock Pilgrims, he enrolled in Harvard University at age 16 and went on to teach school and study law before becoming our country's second president. He died on the 4th of July in 1826 at the age of 90. 1811, Sense and Sensibility was published. Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility was published anonymously. A small circle of people, including the Price Regent, learned Austen's identity, but most of the British public only knew this popular book had been written by a lady. On October 30th, 1864, the town of Helena, Montana was founded by 4 gold miners who struck it rich at the appropriately named Last Chance Gulch. On October 30th, 1896, the Oscar, Emmy, and Golden Globe winning actress Ruth Gordon was born in Quincy, Massachusetts. A prolific and memorable actress, you might remember her from Rosemary's Baby, Harold and Maude, Every Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can. In addition to her acting career, she also wrote numerous plays, film scripts, and books. She died in 1985 at the age of 88. 1908, the Queen of American High Society died. Carolyn Schermerhorn Astor, wife of William Waldorf Astor, the wealthy newspaper proprietor, died at the age of 78. Even before her union with William Astor, the grandson of American fur magnate John Jacob Astor, Carolyn Schermerhorn was prime American aristocracy. She was the daughter of a wealthy merchant descended from Dutch nobles. In 1890, William and Carolyn emigrated to Britain, where they bought their way into British nobility, but their British citizenship and William's title of Viscount were only means of advancing their already formidable position in New York society. Carolyn's death marked the end of old-style high society in New York City. She had ruled over the upper crust as an uncrowned American queen, and an invitation to one of Mrs. Astor's famous balls was the ultimate symbol of one's social rank. 1918, the Ottoman Empire signed a treaty with the Allies, marking the end of Ottoman participation in the First World War. On October 30th, 1938, H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds was broadcast over the radio by Orson Welles' Mercury Theater. Many panicked, believing it to be an actual newscast about a Martian invasion. Wells was only 23 years old when his Mercury Theater company decided to update the 19th century fiction novel War of the Worlds for national radio. Despite his age, he'd been in radio for several years, most notably as the voice of the Shadow in the hit mystery program of the same name. War of the Worlds was not planned as a radio hoax, and Wells had no idea it would cause such havoc. The show began on Sunday, October 30th at 8 p.m. A voice announced, "Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater. On the air, in War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Sunday evening in 1938 was prime time in the golden age of radio, and millions of Americans had their radios turned on. But most of these Americans were listening to ventriloquist Edgar Bergen and his dummy Charlie McCarthy on NBC, and only turned to CBS at 8:12 p.m. after the comedy sketch ended and a little-known singer went on. By then, the story of the Martian invasion was well underway. Wells introduced his play with a spoken introduction, followed by an announcer reading a weather report. Then, seemingly abandoning the storyline, the announcer took listeners to the Meridian Room in the Hotel Park Plaza in downtown New York, where you will be entertained by the music of Ramon Raquello and his orchestra. Putrid dance music played for some time, and then the scare began. An announcer broke in to report that Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory had detected explosions on the planet Mars. Then the dance music came back on, followed by another interruption in which listeners were informed that a large meteor had crashed into a farmer's field in Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Soon, an announcer was at the crash site describing a Martian emerging from a large metallic cylinder. "Good heavens," he declared, "something's wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake. They look like tentacles to me. I can see the thing's body now. It's large as a bear. But that face, ladies and gentlemen, it's indescribable. I can hardly force myself to keep looking. It's so awful." Martians mounted walking war machines and fired heat ray weapons at the puny humans gathered around the crash site. They annihilated a force of 7,000 National Guardsmen, and after being attacked by artillery and bombers, the Martians released a poisonous gas into the air. Soon Martian cylinders landed in Chicago and St. Louis. The radio play was extremely realistic, with Wells employing sophisticated sound effects and his actors doing an excellent job portraying terrified announcers and other characters. An announcer reported that widespread panic had broken out in the vicinity of the landing sites, with thousands desperately trying to flee. The Federal Communications Commission investigated the unorthodox program but found no law was broken. Networks did agree to be more cautious in their programming in the future. The broadcast helped Orson Welles land a contract with a Hollywood studio, and in 1941 he directed, wrote, produced, and starred in Citizen Kane, a movie that many have called the greatest American film ever made. Now here was a surprise to me. In 1939, on this day, American singer, songwriter, and model, a woman we all know as Grace Slick, was born on this date in 1939. You might remember her from Jefferson Airplane. I would never have guessed she was born in 1939. She's still alive, turns 80 today. Happy birthday, Grace. In 1941, FDR approved Lend-Lease aid to the USSR. President Roosevelt, determined to keep the United States out of the war while helping those allies already mired in it, approved $1 billion in Lend-Lease loans to the Soviet Union. The terms included no interest, and repayment did not have to start until 5 years after the war was over. I wonder if we ever got that back. I don't know. Actor, director, and producer Henry Winkler was born in Manhattan, New York on this date in 1945. He rose to fame as the Fonz on Happy Days, a TV series that twice earned him a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a television series, musical, or comedy. He's also played in a number of other projects. Henry Winkler turned 75 today. 1953, President Eisenhower approved the top-secret document NSC 162/2 concerning the maintenance of a strong nuclear deterrent force against the Soviet Union. And after I had a minute to think about that, if it's a top-secret document, how do we know about it? I don't know. That's what it said, though. 1974, the Rumble in the Jungle, a boxing match in Kinshasa, Zaire that many regarded as the greatest sporting event of the 20th century, saw challenger Muhammad Ali knock out previously undefeated world heavyweight champion George Foreman. This made the 32-year-old Muhammad Ali the heavyweight champion of the world for the second time. 7 years earlier, Ali had lost his title when the government accused him of draft dodging, and the Boxing Commission took away his license. His victory in Zaire made him only the second dethroned champ in history to regain his belt. 1981, Ivanka Trump, American businesswoman and daughter of Donald Trump, was born in New York on this date in 1981. She turns 38 today. Happy birthday. 1991, the perfect storm hits the North Atlantic. The so-called perfect storm hit the North Atlantic, producing remarkably large waves along the New England and Canadian coasts. Over the next several days, the storm spread its fury over the ocean off the coast of Canada. The fishing boat Andrea Gale and its 6-member crew were lost in the storm. The disaster spawned the best-selling book The Perfect Storm by Sebastian Junger and a blockbuster Hollywood movie of the same name. 1995, Quebec separatists narrowly defeated by a bare majority of 50.6% to 49.4%. Citizens of the province of Quebec voted to remain within the Federation of Canada. The referendum had asked Quebec's citizens, the majority of whom are French speakers, to vote whether their province should begin the process that could make it independent of Canada. In 2005, the beautiful and inspiring song You Raise Me Up by a group called Westlife was the #1 song in the UK on October 30th, 2005. Gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. There's certainly a link to that one in the show notes. You Raise Me Up. I'm not going to sing it though. They do a much better job. Check it out. And with that, we're going to wrap it up for today, October 30th. Thank you so much for watching. As always, links to my research are in the show notes. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And feel free to share this video. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. On October, okay, with the notifications. Blah, 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 coffee mug. Sorry about that. Maybe I need to listen to that. You ever heard of the Waldorf Astoria? Yeah. Oh, better take a look at that. She's not a man. Oh, what the heck? Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Thank you for reminding me. Roman numerals. Is that right? Sure would be nice if I could ever read one of these in its entirety without having to start anything over. That would be awesome. I might have to take another look at that. I'm going to have to look at that. So, plumbing happens. This is why I don't do live shows.